Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday, the 27th of October, 2021. Welcome to Hindsight, episode 24, where we learn to be a better trader. I'm going to take a look at the trades that I've taken in hindsight, what went well, what went poorly, and making sure to rectify any issues. And believe you me, there are plenty of issues to talk about. Now, in the last 2 days, I've taken 2 hits on 2 stocks, and we're going to go over them because I think they're really elementary mistakes. And sometimes the really basic things creep up and catch me out. So we got KOR here. This stock didn't do anything of significance. I mean, look, it moved from 3 cents to 4.5, which is a big move, but the volumes aren't that interesting. The thing that got me interested was the volume rise. So it broke out, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to wait here for the pullback. The stock didn't pull back to this level. Instead, it broke out again. Did a little pullback and broke out. So I thought, okay, well, I'll wait for this pullback here at 7 cents. I ended up waiting at line in queue at 7.17 and 6.9. And I had tickets ready to add on to those positions in case, big orders stepped up and held this level, that I was going to use my tickets to lift the offer, basically. So to start the momentum to the upside with size. Didn't happen. I missed out on 7.1, basically didn't get the trade, and it ended up rocketing. Now, that was actually really frustrating. I've been doing so well the last few days, and to miss out by 1 tick is just a frustrating feeling, right? That's a significant move. 7.1 to 9.6 is a massive move in spec land. So what I did was I just watched it because I was thinking 9.9 is my target. You guys know this. You've seen my videos. 9.9. This one was a little bit different because the spoofs came in and they came in hard. In the 9.4, this kind of level here, 9.4, 9.5, there was about 5 mil and 6 mil on the bid, and they were clearly fake. Now, spoofs are good until they pull their order. Once they pull their order, in my books, rule number 1 of day trading is when a spoof pulls their order, that is the absolute top of a stock, right? That's my rule. And what usually happens is this. Pump, spoof, then it'll hold a little bit, spoofs will pull again, and then it'll just do this little zigzag where the bounces are tiny. And we kind of see this. It's just not as exaggerated. So I should have left the stock alone, but I didn't. There was a high volume sell at the top. We've got a bearish engulfing. Not that I usually pay too much attention to that. It's mostly the volume top out here and the fact that it was a deep red candle. Should have left it alone. Didn't. Ended up trying to convince myself this was some sort of consolidation happening. Even though there were spoofers behind me, and even though I know for a fact the spoofers are going to pull. I was hell-bent on hitting 9.9. I thought, look, the volumes are still good. Maybe we can get there. So a bit of frustration on not getting this entry drove me to make an irrational decision of getting in on this stock. At what looked like an okay price at the time, but I was convincing myself of this, and you can see the volumes here too. Big, strong sell volumes. And then, of course, I had to hit out when it inevitably failed. And then I convinced myself VWAP was a good decision. VWAP is a good decision a lot of the times. This is not one of them. Why? Because, first of all, it's gone from 3 cents to 9.6. Spoofers are on board. High volume rejection, right? I mean, at the time, in real time, I just wanted to make money on it. Now I just wanted to recover a bit of my losses here. Added a bit more. Volumes kind of crept in. Sideways consolidation on VWAP, which, by the way, is terrible. What you want to see on VWAP ideally is a bounce, not a grind. Again, I was identifying this and I was like, okay, well, that's okay. I'll wait for the spoofers. If the spoofers pull, I'll just sell. I usually have really good reaction times with spoofs. Whoops. And in this instance, I got butchered. And really, it's my own fault. This sell here was more like 6.9 and 6.8. So yeah, I took a pretty good hit. Very good hit. And I thought I learnt my lesson. Problem is, I didn't actually do review that afternoon. I was actually quite busy. And I paid the price because today, this morning, SPN happened. Same thing. Effectively the same thing, except minus the spoofers. In this case, the announcement was some green hydrogen shit dealing with some sort of university. If there were financials, they were garbage, or they just had no financials on it. I can't quite remember. On this was purely a match play and trying to get a few ticks, right? It would have been a significant amount as well, because every tick matters above $1. And what we have is, $1 to, what was it, $1.16. I mean, that's a huge 20 tick move here from 106 to 116. And I would have happily taken 10 to 12 ticks. That was the play. In and out real quick. Ride the momentum on the fact that this announcement was just practically nothing. It just had the words hydrogen. And what was it, ultra hydrogen, mega hydrogen or some shit? Garbage. So what I ended up doing is queuing up on the second candle here at 106. Ended up getting it and getting slaughtered to 101 or 101.5. So it took a pretty big hit, queued up in front of a wall that was here, and ended up closing out somewhere around here. I think it was 99 or 98.5. Long story short, I ended up getting back one more time because I'm a glutton for punishment, and I can't remember quite where it was. I think it might have been here at 99 back in, and then I can't remember where I sold out, but it was for a loss. Not a significant one, but still maybe a tick or two. It just was a terrible trade. Same sort of scenario. It was frustration and then re-entering a stock based on effectively no fundamentals, no technicals, no nothing. Just I'll try and get the bottom of the opening range candle, the opening range in the first minute. Now, it felt like the stock opened a couple of seconds early because I know it was meant to open at like 10:55 and 12 seconds. And I don't know what happened. I just didn't get in. I thought my ticket was in. I thought I clicked it on time. Then the order book kind of opened at roughly the same time that I clicked, and I thought I was at least 2 seconds early. I butchered it. I should have been maybe 3 seconds early or 4. I don't know. I just did not get the order. And for whatever reason, out of frustration, cancelled the order, re-queued, and paid the price for it. Now, on the upside, there was a good trade. ESR balanced all the losses, basically, of SPN. So this one was quite interesting because let's go through the announcement first. Massive nickel copper sulfide. Now, those 4 words, get familiar with them because they tend to pump stocks. However, if we look more deeply in this announcement, there's actually nothing of substance. So what we have is a reverse core intersecting 12 meters of nickel copper sulfides, 2 meters of which was massive sulfides. So sweet fuck all. And we look at the assays received from the drill hole, 6 meters at 1% nickel and 0.8% copper, which is nothing, right? If you guys don't know how to interpret drill results, check out my very first video because that I think is really important to understand drill results. So we have sweet fuck all nickel, sweet fuck all copper, and we have here, instead of a physical, like round cylindrical drill core, what we have is just crushed rocks from the reverse core, right? No one cares about this shit. So, what it is the drill goes, for every, I think 1 meter, they just make a bag of the soil samples and stuff. Yeah, no one really cares about that. They just don't. I mean, there's nothing in here for a 44 million market cap company to jump to like 60 something on the back of this is fucking atrocious. So, the plan was short it at match and hold it all day. I've seen this time and time again. You know what the beautiful thing is? It said shorts were available, but when I tried to get shorts, it says sorry, the maximum allocated amount by the broker is unavailable, or the maximum is in use. Basically what that means is that all the borrow is in use and I can't short the stock. So what I did is, because I had my ticket open anyway, once the stock opened, I just started hitting the sell ticket. And then it was still too much. My size was too big. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just chuck in whatever, 25,000. I saw it went through at 4.8. Like, oh shit, Okay, so I start opening multiple tickets. I'm like, sell, 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 25, 25K, 25K, 20K, 25, 30. Just get maximum allocation for this thing, because this is, for me, this is a dream scenario. This stock is up 33%, market cap above 60 million on an absolute dog shit announcement. I've seen this time and time again in spec land. You know, this kind of stuff happens on rock chip results. The difference this time is it's a shortable stock and I can get borrow. So the plan for the day was to hold it to close. You know what I did? I closed it out at 4.4. So I got 4.8 and 4.7. I think my average was much closer to 4.8 though. And the reason was, you can see here. I'll give you some context what happened. It was dropping and it was on a nice trajectory to the downside. It was looking really good to hit this sort of 3.6 level in the space of maybe like an hour or two. It was like a beautiful trajectory down. And then once 4.2 sort of hit, some donkey put 20 million shares at 4.3 on the bid. To give you guys an idea, on the order book, there was maybe 1 to 2 million on every line. The sell side probably had 2.5 mil, so a little bit thicker, and maybe 1.5 mil on the bids on average. So that's what the order book looked like. And then some donkey comes in with 20 mil and he wipes 4.3. Now I thought at first maybe it's a spoofer, but like spoofers don't touch this shit, right? It's terrible. So it wasn't a spoofer, it was a legitimate order. And I thought maybe it was like a 2 million order, but someone fat fingered and like accidentally put an extra zero. No, he actually sat there and ended up getting filled eventually. So this is the 3-minute candle. So once it happened, it took a little over 12 minutes for the buyer to get sold into. So a really long time. I mean, I sat there for maybe a minute or two because I noticed the buyers weren't stepping up and pushing it to the upside, because when you see 20 mil on the bid on a specky stock like this, you expect market buying, like serious market buying. No, not interested. No one was doing anything. But at the same time, it wasn't getting hit either. So I had no choice. This is a unicorn scenario. I've never in my life seen this on a micro cap where 20 mil sits on the bid. Just fucking insane. So I had no choice. Close out at 4.4. I mean, I took 4 ticks. Could have taken another 6, but it is what it is. It's a unicorn event, a unicorn scenario, and I'll probably never see it again. But in that situation, I didn't quite know what to do. Shitty fundamentals versus a massive, massive buyer. So, I mean, replaying this over and over in my head, I can't actually see a situation where I actually wait. Everything screams at me to just close a position every time I sort of replay that scenario. So I don't think the decision making was poor. It was just really unfortunate. So I thought I'd share that sort of situation with you guys. It was fascinating to say the least. And the other thing about ESR is it had 1 billion shares on issue, a little over 1 billion. So as always, micro caps with high shares on issue, even on good news, very likely sells off and then rallies. Let's say it was like actually properly good news. Almost always there's a 1-2 tick sell off before it rallies. That's just how high shares on issue works typically. A lot of sell pressure. The other thing I got was Fortescue. So sell off, if I bring up the 3-minute candles, around this time I bought some calls because the quarterly is opening up. It is coming out tomorrow. And the options expires tomorrow as well. So I thought a nice little degen play. This is definitely not something I'd ever suggest anyone to replicate or attempt to do. But what I'm looking at, and I'll explain myself here because I feel like I need to, is we have strike prices on the calls at $14.50. We have strike price of $13.50 on the puts. Now the plan was, because this quarterly is going to factor in July 1st to, I believe, September 30. It's going to factor in all the financials between this period of time. As you guys can tell, it was a massive sell-off on the back of the iron ore price coming off really heavy. So what I'm anticipating is the market may get a surprise tomorrow, right? You've got massive volatile action. The market doesn't really know what the financial outcome of this is. So I have a feeling, based on this $14 price close, it's either going to move up at least 50 cents or sell off at least 50 cents. I don't think it goes sideways on these financials. I just don't see it happening. We also have a nice big technical setup here, so either way it moves, it's going to break big time. And that's just my opinion. You know, there's no guarantees that this is going to do anything in particular, but this is what I'm planning. I'm just talking through my thoughts on this. And I really do think, you know, if let's say we make a dollar move, right, on either direction, whether it's, you know, it goes to $15 or it goes to $13, that would make the 4-cent calls, roughly 4-cent calls, be worth 50. And same thing on the puts. These 4-cent, 5-cent puts, you know, that'd be about a 10-bagger if it gets into that sort of range. And that's a pretty serious move, of course. But again, the situation is that no one knows what the financials are like in this period of time. So I think it's going to be a sharp move in either direction. Now, the unfortunate reality is I ended up buying the calls, but I didn't end up buying the puts, which really sucks. I got distracted. There's no excuse for it. I mean, I was actually meant to buy the puts and the calls together. Ended up only buying the calls, and I actually think it's going to be a sell-off now. The only reason I bought the calls first is because that's what showed up on ComSec. I was like, okay, what do you want to do with the derivatives? Calls already open. I'll buy the calls. Then I got sidetracked with a phone call. I had other things to do as well, and then I never ended up buying the puts, which I'm really devastated by. So we'll see tomorrow the outcome of that. We'll see if my prediction is correct, that there will be a sharp move in either direction. I don't care which. But ideally now, I really want it to be a long, but it is what it is. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys learned something. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Peace.